Business has the power to transform lives. When leaders grow, companies thrive, creating opportunities for employees, families, and communities. Through practical guidance, proven frameworks, and real-world experience, we help business owners build organizations that are scalable, valuable, and sustainable. Welcome to the David Koehn Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the David Koehn Show. We are here with Steve Edisis, and he has an amazing story. Steve is in the financial sector, provides funding for just amazing company owners, and I can't wait to really dig in and just really share some knowledge about the financial industry, how your business supports small business owners, service business owners, and really just get a better understanding of what companies can do to better their cash flow. So welcome, Steve Edisis.
Thanks for having me here. It's great to be here. It's always, we've been friends for quite a bit of time, and to be down to sit with you and really get
100%.
a deep conversation means a lot.
100%. Well, first of all, off camera, we were just chatting about some of the amazing journeys that you've had in your entrepreneurship career. So, maybe take 5 minutes, just kind of shoot us a little quick, from startup to where you are now and a quick snapshot of your journey.
From paper route to success. Here
there you go, baby.
No, it really is funny because I think that's really a lot of my hard work was forged. I grew up in New Jersey, cold nights, cold mornings, delivering the paper, and waking up 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, delivering in the rain, the sleet. So that really set up the core drive.
Yeah.
What really was the hardest part about that route, and I'm talking about, this is back in the day, I'm 55, collecting the money for the paper route. I think it was like 55 cents, 60 cents at the top, knocking on door after door trying to get that. So that kind of helped me with the collections. And then from there, the jobs got bigger and bigger. During my high school and my college days, I was doing a lot of manual labor. I did above ground pools in New Jersey. I did landscaping where the gentleman literally hated me. He would drop me off. True story, okay? This guy, and I can understand why. I used to talk a lot. He dropped me off like 3 hours away from the location, tell me to dig a 6 foot by 6 foot ditch and pick me up 6 hours later. I'm like, this guy's having me dig my grave. But the reason I left that job, and again, I was committed. I was like, there's nothing this guy can do to get me to quit. He put me in like this like swamp Everglades, right? Where I had to move all these like little baby nursing trees he go move all those from this side to that side. I did. I came home. I like rolled out of my car. My dad and the neighbors sitting outside. I had so many mosquito bites. I thought they had malaria. He's like, bro, you're done with that. He's like, so we got out of that, and that told me like, look, I have the brawn, but I should probably start using my brains. And that kind of made me refocus and reshift into something else other than lifting things up and putting them down and moving it. So I also had a really good experience in high school. I went to a really cool high school on an athletic scholarship. Prep school, surrounded by, we talk about proximity to power. I was surrounded by a lot of powerful people. I was lucky enough to be invited to the New York Stock Exchange Luncheon Club. That was it, man. That really, so I wanted to be around finance from that day forward. And from there, I just kept moving. Had some success in college. We had a beer drinking device that made us quite a bit of notoriety, get a splash in Miami Beach. And from there, we parlayed that into some bars, a Latin nightclub, a couple restaurants. And then we had our first reality lesson, right? Yeah. The lessons that you had a lot of success up to that point, but what I didn't have was a lot of failures. So I didn't develop the systems. I didn't develop the eye and the ear to see the problems coming. And so when they came in my early part of the entrepreneurial journey, they came hard. And as we talked about earlier, when you're up high and you fail, you come down pretty hard. But on top of that, then I went on to the next journey and the next journey. And every time I got higher and some new tragedy came, okay? Or new lesson came, right? And I learned a lesson, but when I landed on my feet, that low was a little higher too. So every time that I was failing and I was learning. My mom has always said this one thing. She said, Steve, you're the only person I know that could take a shit shower and come out smelling like roses.
That's good.
And the point was, she's like, you you do a lot of these things, but every time you do, you come out better for it. And it took a long time to realize that lesson, but now here I am, 55. I've been running Dynamic Capital the past 12 years, and the same curveballs that walk into my door every day, every single day that used to knock me out, I just sit back on them and hit them out of the park.
I love it.
So it's these lessons that I've learned, and those what I like to share to other entrepreneurs, whether they're going to come do business with us or not.
Yeah.
If I could share the knowledge and elevate them, I've elevated the community.
I love it.
Right, and then they could elevate other people. So that's my give back, as well as. I think I can make the most impact is for the people that I see every day.
Yeah.
So other people like to, do courses and classes, etc. I like to see people that come into my office and I nurture them every day. Every day we build. Every day it's 2% better, not 1%. So, and it's most of my people been with me, I would say average 7 years. I've been in business for 12 years. My top guy's been with me for 11 and a half. So we do a lot of retention because people leave when they're not growing.
So
if you continue to grow and nurture and believe in them, then they tend to get that retention.
I love it. I love it. And that is so true. I mean, really, when you're talking about growing a team, I think that's one thing that younger entrepreneurs, they hit these seasons where everything's on their shoulders and they don't understand the power of making sure that they have the proximity to the right people, the right people who've already walked through the challenges that can show them the way, that can hold their hand or really help them navigate the treacherous waters ahead, right? And I think that the term, which is like you fail your way to success, it's really you learn your way to success because you learn from your failures, and your failures are sharpening your skills because every time, as you mentioned, you're not at ground zero anymore.
Correct.
Every failure is you're failing upwards, and you're failing forward.
There's two types of people there.
Yeah.
Okay? There can be the first person who fails and blames others and will fail in that same trap again and again and again. And then there's the other person. Okay, people like us, the people that we want to attract, who are going to take that failure and say, what did that teach me? What could I have done better? Okay, what went right? What went wrong? And how are we going to correct this? So when it comes again, and I assure you, it'll come again, different size, different shape, different language maybe.
Yeah.
But that same person or same thing's coming at you, you must learn from it and overcome. And that is when you fail forward.
So true. So true. And I think one of the things that I've noticed as far as coaching people is when they mention these ideas or these like opportunities and you've already taken that path and you know where it leads, the power in being able to sit down with someone and help them create a more clear vision of, hey, don't go that way. I've already been down that road and it's not going to lead to where you think it is. It's like shiny object syndrome, right? And I know that you've suffered from that one time or two, like where it's just like, boop, a squirrel, and you're off to this new thing. And then 2 years later, really what they don't realize is the opportunity cost of if you would have stayed focused and pointed in that one direction. So, but so powerful, man.
So, what we like to do is work with an entrepreneur, whether we're funding them or not, okay? If I am putting my capital in your account, I certainly want to work with you. I want to make sure that if you're going to take this capital, it's going to grow your business, not put a restriction on you. So there's going to be two types of entrepreneurs that you work with. Like I said, there's going to be someone who wants to grow, is learning, right? And once they learn and they're confident, you talked about being able to delegate and teach that to others. One of my top 5 rules is the CEO must be the number one salesperson in the organization. It doesn't mean he has to be the front and only salesperson in the organization. In order for there to be someone who's equivocal, or at least 80-90%, they must be able to train and then delegate to that person. That takes confidence.
Yes.
That takes someone who's confident in themselves, confident in their process, and has the experience. And once they do that, then they have to have the confidence to train and educate and elevate someone next to them so their business could grow, so they're not the bottleneck.
I agree 100%.
But by being the number one salesperson in the organization, you don't have to lower your standards to manage that person underneath you. The second the dynamic shifts in the organization from you being the top salesperson to someone else, you no longer run the company, you sign the checks.
Yes.
More importantly, you sit up at night saying, what happens if Jim leaves? What happens to that revenue? Well, by being the top salesperson, by knowing it better than anyone else, you're able to step in the event Jim leaves. And there's no let go. As a matter of fact, anytime I've had a top salesperson leave my organization, the trajectory has always been up. Why? Because I teach them everything they know and just some of what I know. So I know in the event that someone walks out of my door, I wish them well, but I'm just going to get right in that seat until I have someone else to go right into it, right? It's just
100%.
No let down.
100%. No, I mean, I think that a good owner who's really strong in sales, I agree, still needs to bring in a director of new business development, work with that person hand in hand, and then delegate some of the smaller relationships solely on to them. And the big fish, the whales, as we call them in our industry, those are ones that you tag team. You're Batman and Robin. And we used to joke about that all the time. Our business developer's name was Frank. And Frank was awesome at opening the door and getting the relationship. But if it was a whale, then I'm coming in with him. Right. And we're going to close that thing together as Batman and Robin. And that, I think, is really powerful. But a lot of owners, they are so prideful that they don't want to give the glory to the salesperson either. You know, so I used to, I used to always make sure that you're the best salesperson, but it's humble, right?
That's right.
Right. You have to always encourage your sales team. You're killing it. You're crushing it. I'm here for you. And really, you know, it's just that every win that you have to celebrate, whether it's a $5,000 account or a $500,000 account, you celebrate that thing. And you know, we had this saying where, do you remember the skit where it was like, coffee's for closers, put that coffee down?
That's right.
Like I forget the SNL.
Oh, that's a movie.
Yeah.
It's
it was
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, and there was a clip in there where the guy was getting his coffee. And so every time we made a sale, we had a group chat, and I'm like, get that man his cup of coffee. And it just became a thing. So just like creating cool little incentives and little ways to fire up your team after sales, or
there's a title for that. It's called the leader.
Exactly.
And that's what the leader does. What
Amen.
they do is they praise in public, they scold, or they teach behind the doors.
Yeah.
And it is so important for you to elevate your team and just look. I end up taking quite a few deals across the finish line. All glory goes to the closer, who actually is on the originator. It's super important that. But what you have to do, and you made a good point, on those big, larger deals, never outsource your revenue to your top guy. Walk in with them. You may not have to say anything. Sometimes your presence there gets it all done. But in the event that you have to step into that file or that deal at any particular point, you must be able to pick up the ball and score.
100%. And I think the unique value proposition that a lot of up and coming business owners have that are still family owned and operated, that have not taken on private equity or partnerships, they can sell that owner involvement. And if you are an owner-operator, you should use that as a value proposition. You should walk into that door with your salesperson and say, hey, you know, we are providing you a brand promise. We are going to provide everything that's written in this contract, and I'm here, and my name's on the side of the truck, and I can assure you that you are going to get a premium level service with our company, or I wouldn't be in here. I'd be on the beach. I have 120 people that work for me. I don't need to be here, but X, Y, and Z client, you are so important that I'm here to make sure that this deal goes through. And that is a powerful, unique proposition in any company, whether it be service, financial, you name it, having that.
That's a sales experience. Okay. If we're doing the same product, okay, in my world, we have a fungible product. It's money. The same $100 that you get from this guy is the same $100 I get from me. Now I have to say, how do I differentiate myself? What's the experience going to be like in the pre-sale, when we start actually the process, and when we close out? That's the difference. That's the personal close. And that's why someone like you or some people that you train to actually sell like this and be involved, that's what people are buying.
Yeah.
Anyone could do the marble, anyone could do the floor, anyone could provide capital. It's the experience that they have and the trust that they have that it's going to get done properly. People will pay a premium if they know that the owner's involved and he's going to be ensured that the job is right.
Yeah, I think the key word there is trust. I think in all organizations that trust is one of the most important things that we're going to build. It's trust internally with your team. They trust that we're going to set these visions. You're trusting them and not micromanaging them. You're leading them versus managing them. And that's building trust in that organization. And that trust is going to, in turn, trickle down into your field, into your management, and then it gets on the customer. So if it doesn't start, if the trust isn't built internally in your organization first, then you're going to have a lack of trust as it trickles out to the client. But once the client can see that you're running a organization with high level of integrity and there's high level of trust, they can feel it. Like, you can see it, you can feel it. And one thing that we differentiated ourselves on was on our media. We focused on our culture and what we were doing internally, what we were building on our team. Everybody can plant trees. Anybody can plant grass. Instead of saying, look at this great job we did, it was, no, look at our internal culture. Look at how we're building it. Look at what we're doing to better ourselves. And that, in turn, increased sales. So it's kind of a unique ROI on that.
You guys are the people that are showing up, right?
Yeah.
And again, we talk about trust. Trust is the new currency right now.
I love it.
It's trust is capital, right? People rather work with people that they trust. And I said, pay a little bit more for that because they know that the people that show up aren't going to, be delinquents. The job's going to get done right. It's going to be done timely. The owner himself is going to come and verify that it's done. Those steps are all super important, and they come from the top down. And you talk about when your people trust you, it emulates. When your people don't trust you, it emulates too.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they trust you? Really good thing. When you tell people to do things and you don't do themselves.
Yeah.
When I first, flipped from being, I'd say, good to better, and then I went from better to great, gentleman pulled me aside, and he said, Steve, I'm here for you. They sent me down specifically to speak to you. You showed up at 9:15 today. I've been here since 8:45. Your team's been here since 9. How do you expect anyone to listen to you going forward when you won't walk in at the right time? Then he looked at me. He said, what are you wearing? He looked at my sneakers, he looked at my baggy pants, loose fitting shirt. He's like, what you're going to do going forward is you're going to dress your wage. And those two comments, he's like, you have armor. And if they identify one chink in your armor, whether you're late, whether you don't look right, whether you swear, whether you tell them to go right and you go left, whatever you do that's not concurrent with what you say, they're going to find that chink in your armor. And that's when the leadership gets dissolved.
That is so powerful.
And that changed my life. It was one conversation, one man. And then what I did is I looked at him and I said, what does he do? And I'm 55. This is 15 years ago. He used to go to the gym at 9 o'clock at night. I said, oh my God, that's impossible. Well, when I'm on the 75 hard program, I've been outside working out at 11:45 at night, sleeping on my feet. So once you get to that point, right, and you understand what it takes to get to the level that person you want to be in, you start making those massive changes. And once you make the changes inside, then everything else changes for you on the outside.
That is so true. I think that boils down to identity, because the more disciplines that you set for yourself, the promises that you keep to yourself become your identity. And I think when you meet someone who has this powerful identity in business and life and their faith and they're walking the walk, right? Mm-hmm. You see that and you can feel it and you go, how do I get more of that? Like, how do I become more disciplined? And it starts with keeping the promises that you make to yourself, and your team and the people around you are going to catch that. It's like going to spill over and get on them, because if you have SOPs and standards, and we dealt with this a lot, we had a uniform policy. Well, the hardest people we would get sometimes is to keep the management in the darn uniform policy. You got crew level guys that are showing up with their shirts tucked in and their vests on. Mm-hmm. Well, if the rule was anybody in our warehouse has to wear a vest, well, then if a manager walks out, we don't care if it was the administrative girl. She doesn't go in the field, but one of our SOP was what you have to have on a vest. So if she walks out there with no vest, it eroded the SOP. So we were very specific about that, and our management team would call them out. They would stop them before they even went to the door. Where's your vest? If you don't got one, go in the closet and get one. And it became part of your identity, and that really, truly, those little standards that we set became a stronger culture and identity. But it all starts with like that the trust and the identity are like brother and sister, right? So great stuff.
We do something super cool, right? So again, we have best practices for everything. Best practice how to open the door. Best practice, okay, I mean, because
like Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
Yeah, and they're fluid, meaning that best practice may not be the best practice next week. We may find a better way to do what we thought was the best, because there always is no love. So once you have those standards set, right, that's the baseline, man. That's non-negotiable. And side note is like, look, I had a conversation with one of my guys. He asked me to do something for him. And I told him very specifically, never ask me to lower my standards for you. Yeah. It's not fair to me. And the answer is no, right? It was anytime someone asks you to lower your standards and you do it once, it's a slippery slope downwards. So those are the two really key points I wanted to address on that one. But at the end of the day, having standards, developing them, and then maintaining them. So one thing that we do every morning, right? And I learned this from someone. Every morning, my entire team, we have a click, an memo. They check in. They say something very positive about themselves, and they finish with, I'm a winner, I'm a champion. That is the first thing they communicate to themselves and the group. And this is like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, because we start at 4:30 in the morning. My team, we start 4:30 breaking down files.
Baby. Let's do it.
Sleepers for the week.
Yeah.
No, the reason is, I'm going to tell you why.
Well, time shame too, probably for other time zones.
Well, we are constantly marketing, right? Well, my business owner, he's knocked out of bed by his things that he needs to get done between 4 and 4:30 in the morning. So I communicate and I talk to these people when they want to. Because if I start making the phone call at 8:30, 9 o'clock when he's on scaffolding and on a mower and doing this, do you think that's what he wants to do, is talk to me at 9:30? No. So we fish when the fish are biting. We surf when the waves are up. So our main go-to times are between 4:30 a.m. and 8:45. And then again, we pick it back up at 4:30 p.m. to 11:30 at night. But you would be surprised how many people actually filling out the applications 1, 2, 3 all night long, because they're up. They have opportunities. There's something that's pulling them, so they know if they have this capital on hand, they're able to accelerate. So we want to make sure that we're able to service them, break down the files, and ask them any additional documents before they hit the road. Yeah. How frustrating is it? The guy needs the money tomorrow, because that's why people come to us, because it's fast, seamless. But at the end of the day, he wants the money tomorrow. Well, he missed one document. If I call him at 9 o'clock, 9:30, he's on the road, he can't get back to me at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? Or 4
so
o'clock.
True.
So that delays the whole process. Well, people came to me for speed. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. So my team, again, we're at 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. We'll either text you, email you, and ask for permission to make a phone call.
Yeah, I love it,
So that
man.
this way they're not frustrated. It seems odd and weird, right, that you're doing this, but we have to fish when the fish are biting.
I love that.
End of story.
And surf when the waves are good.
Yeah, that's right, man.
I love it. I love the lingo.
Unless you like to paddle,
Yeah. No, we were talking about, you have these 5 like really core principles. You mentioned number 5. If you want to just kind of run through those, because I really think that this is just really powerful advice for any business owner listening to the show today. So
yeah, so I kind of put these like 5 top rules together, and I'm telling you, if you're selling stocks, rocks, or jocks, these things,
stocks, rocks, or jocks,
they translate. So again, we talked about rule number 5. The CEO has got to be the top salesperson in the organization, unless that dynamic is going to shift in there, and you don't want to do that. Once you became that top salesperson, you have to train others. Train others in every position. Train and then train them again. And the event they get it right, train them till they can't get it wrong. As I said, the biggest thing is never fear they're going to leave trained, fear they'll stay untrained. What happens if they stay untrained?
Yeah.
Well,
Poor
I'll tell ya.
performance.
Unhappy clients, unfulfilled orders, systems that don't work, and time that you solving problems that never should have existed.
Amen.
So again, train them up, and then it goes us to number 3. You have a good trained sales team now. We talked about don't let a little overhead, don't let a little success cause a lot of overhead, okay? Because when that one big month, you start accelerating, expenses are easy to add, brutal to remove, okay? Those are like the biggest things. And that one bad month always comes, right?
Yeah.
Side note, what I do is I attach all my fixed staff, right, to the success of the business. I'm going to pay them this. If the business does well, they do well.
Incentivize.
So now I have the highest paid comptroller, the highest paid.
Yeah.
But what happened was during COVID, when things pulled back, I didn't have to fire anyone. I didn't have to renegotiate contracts. We just moved back to where it was. So I was able to keep my staff together. And on good months, we do great. On bad months, they want to do better. So that's like really, really important to me. So that's your expenses. And then we talk about growing. If you're not growing as a business owner, you're contracting. Business is the most competitive sport out there, and there's no such thing as neutral, right? So now people are like, what am I growing? It doesn't necessarily have to be, and it's always good if you can add another location or more humans, but sometimes you grow by better systems, firing someone, okay?
True.
Training your people up a little bit better, or just, cutting some expenses. So what I recommend people do is every 90 days, look in arrears. Not only am I bigger, but more importantly, am I stronger from a foundation standpoint? And if the answer is yes, then you don't necessarily need to expand physically. You just keep sharpening the sword internally. And then comes back to rule number 1. As a CEO, as an owner, you could never, ever, ever run out of cash. Okay? I mean, we've seen brilliant businesses close with loyal customers, great business plan. Why? Because they ran out of cash on a Tuesday. Okay? And we're talking about accounts receivables. They're a projection. Cash on hand is a fact. And the business owners, those ones that actually stay around to be great, are the ones who are actually fanatical about cash on hand 30, 60, and 90 days out.
Yes.
And those are the ones that really actually are able to grow. So you could have massive receivables, but if they're net 90 and they're not coming in, you're going to have that massive cash flow gap.
Yes.
So being super focused on being able to implement your strategies on a daily basis.
I love it. I love it. Those are just 5 amazing core principles. Thank you for sharing that, and just so much wisdom over the course of your career and seeing that. Now, earlier we talked about you need cash for 2 reasons. You either need cash to save the ship from sinking, or you need cash to go to the moon. And, one of them's very exciting. The cash to go to the moon is like, there's a lot of excitement, but the cash to keep the doors open, not so sexy, but vital. And a lot of business owners out there have been in that situation. I know I personally have. I mean, there was times when we owed hundreds of thousands of dollars to suppliers, and we had hundreds of thousands in receivables, but knowing that those receivables weren't going to come in because of the construction-related timelines, that we were waiting on inspection.
That's a cash flow gap.
So
that's almost like a growth crisis, versus a management crisis. Right?
Very true. So that's a great.
You're my
point.
typical client. To be quite frank with you, right? Great business, amazing service, loyal customers, good revenue. But the revenue is 30, 60, 90, or completion date when it comes to construction. So you could be 6 months out.
Yes.
During those 6 months, you have payroll, you have rent, you have gas, you have parts, you have new blah, 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 right? So it keeps coming. So that's where we come in, and comfortably we look at your AR, we look at your WIP, look at all the services that you provided, and we'll help you ease that gap, okay? And that's a different mentality, right?
Yeah.
You're knowing, like, I'm in growth mode. I just need to get through this next quarter. And then there's the other person who thinks they're running a good business, but their receivables are here and their expenses are there. Their systems are broke. They probably have bloated payroll. not sure how committed they are to their business. And that is all comes down to the numbers too. So again, there's two different people here. And I'm all about leveraging a smart entrepreneur who just needs $50, $250, $500,000 to get to that quarter, to get to that next level. Conversely, we're going to look at pretty in depth how that other business is running. And if we feel that it's just a short blip, we'll go ahead and help them out. But we have to say no sometimes too.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't put the gold on the sinking ship.
I love it. I love it.
It doesn't come back. Yeah.
No, for sure. For sure. So what are the, as far as different types of funding that are out there for service company owners who are having those cash flow crunches? You know, there were times where I had to factor invoices in my growth phase, and it was uncomfortable for me to reach out to my clients and have to communicate, hey, we're growing, we're taking on large construction projects. You know, this bank is going to be calling you. They're going to take over our receivables on some of the maintenance work. And, you know, there was a lot of questions that I had to ask. It was stressful. But that was one thing that I did have to use years ago.
Factoring is a great tool.
So
it's an amazing tool. What we talked about earlier is you need a strong business owner who's confident in themselves, who doesn't feel like this is a negative. It's a positive. Why? 90% of the companies that are selling to the big box stores are all factoring. So the issue that we've come across is when we run a factoring deal is the business owner does not want you to call their clients. They think that they're going to feel that they are in a money struggle. Well, what you did is you preempted that. You had a strong conversation with them, told them what's happening, and educated that this is for growth and good.
Yes.
And then they get that call. That's a call that has to get made.
Yeah, I agree.
There's 50% of the people who aren't willing to do that, and that tells me a lot about their character too. So that's one aspect. It'll be traditional factoring.
Okay.
It's really cost effective. Takes you must have either a product that's been delivered or a service that's been rendered to qualify.
Some reoccurring revenue or
Correct.
something to tie that to.
Very cost effective. Have to be paid back within 30, 60, 90 days. Now, there's another program where people who just haven't delivered the product, haven't finished the service. That's our revenue-based financing. That's where we like to step in, and people come to us for three reasons on that. First is they don't have an asset to provide to the bank, whether it's a home, second home, luxury item, Picasso, whatever they're asking for at that point in time. So it's our capital is unsecured.
Okay.
By being unsecured capital, it speeds up the timeline and our ability to put the money into your account. There's no appraisals. There's no title search.
Yeah.
So we look at the revenue of the business, the first thing we're looking at. Now, you may be running a strong business. I'll look at typically dollar for dollar as a rule of thumb and provide that into your account, as long as your average daily balances could afford that. People come to us for that because, again, low documentation. One application, 4 months with the banks. We have an offer for you in 2 hours. You're funded within 24 to 48 hours. That's an easy process. People love that. Why? They're term loans. They're in and out. They all have early payoff discounts. You longer term, pay off early and get a discount for that. And then for our Sterling clients, this is people who are more well-established, premium credit score. We have lines of credit. People love that because it's kind of pay as you go. It usually opens you up for 50, 100,000. You take what you need, you pay it back, and you do it again. That we like to get an understanding for what you're going to use the money for.
Yeah.
Because that's for someone who wants to only hold the capital 3-6 months max. Someone who's looking to hold it more than 6 months, I'll probably recommend a term loan or a revenue-based financing.
Understood. What are some things that business owners may be able to do that you've learned to help them on the collecting side? I mean, that's something that one thing that we did, and I'll just throw this out there, was we just had a standard process for how your administrative staff is going to approach your receivables. So it's like invoice went out, who double checks to call and make sure they got it, at least, like, because one, you can send it to the wrong address. Becky left, she's not there anymore, she got the invoice and she never turned it in, or so is there a process to double check and make sure they got it? A follow-up, right? Is there a 15-day follow-up? Is there a 30-day follow-up? When it hits 30 days, if it's net 30, does someone go knock on their door? Does someone, because some email is an email. Does a customer rep go out there and just in conversation bring it up. Hey, I was noticing today our crews were here. We were doing this. We were doing that. And by the way, our office call mentioned that there was still an outpaid payment. Can you ask your, people are afraid sometimes to ask people for their money. So do you have any advice that service business owners or, any business owner,
make it easy for them to pay you.
Okay.
Give them multiple ways to pay you. Have a Zelle, have a PayPal, have a Venmo, have a ACH, accept checks. Give them multiple ways to send you the money. That's number one. Number two, when I send out an invoice and it's service-based, I'm not service-based, right? I would send at 30 days it's this price, at 60 days it's this price, and at 90 days it's that price.
Got to charge a late fee.
It's not a late fee.
Okay.
If you put a late fee, it's a fee. I'm hurting you. But I'm incentivizing you to pay at 30. I'm incentivizing.
We never thought of that.
It could be, 2% and then 4% pay me next 30, because I could tell you this, having your money 30 days versus 90 days is a world of difference. You will reap massive rewards, and your cash flow gap will come down to this. So those would be the two things I would recommend. Lots of ways to pay you and incentivize an early payoff.
I love it. And I think really too, it's basing on what type of customer that you're servicing. If you're a 100% commercial company like we expected the 30 days, but once it gets to 45 and 60s when it gets painful. So knowing your customers, and this is one thing that our consultants had us do, was we actually graded our customers. So we went through and said, okay, what's the profitability of this customer? What's the average days to pay for this customer? How far are they away from our office? And we put together a metrics where we scored and put a grade, whether they're an A, they're a B, they're a C. And that was really, really powerful for us, because it allowed us, one, hurricane season come, who gets first on the list? The A's.
There it is.
You know what I mean? So,
it would also help you price out deals too, right?
100%. And it lets you know, one thing that I was never doing prior to bringing in coaches and consultants was was culling the bottom 10%. So once you build out and you can create a grading system for your clients, sometimes the bottom 10%, if you've got 100 clients and 10 of them constantly pay you late, they're an hour drive away from your office, they complain about every service that you can think of, guess what? It's time to fire that customer. And that was something that I never ever thought of, really, because who wants to, growing revenue is the most important thing in the world. Grow. Who sits down and goes, I want to shrink? But getting rid of those bottom 10% is some of the most powerful things that we ever did. Was give them a 20% price increase. Send out it's not an FU price.
Right.
It's just realization of we've done our homework on said client, and in order for this relationship to be valuable for us, we're going to have to provide this service at this price, because one, we're a bank. We're waiting 90 days to get our money. We're dealing with a lot more than we signed up for. In order for us to service this, here's the new price. We'd love to continue doing business with you. And, if they kick rocks, you won. If they get a price increase, now you're paid adequately for the services. So that's really just one thing that I think a lot of service company owners have a really hard time doing, is really just being transparent and knowing your cost and knowing if that's a client that you really need to be servicing. So I wanted to put that out there for my audience, because that's just a huge, huge nugget.
It's spot on. We call that growth addition by subtraction.
Addition by subtraction.
You're adding more time, you're adding more peace, and you're adding more ability to actually find the right client for you by getting rid of that one troublesome client.
So true.
With us, we do something similar. We evaluate everyone. So let's just say we're a term loan. You're 10 months. And it took you 12 months to pay us back. When you come back to me again, I'm going to give you an 8-month deal with the expectation that's going to take you 10 months to pay me back.
Okay.
So we do some scoring like that as well, right? And again, if they don't want it, that's fine too. You have to play and you have to manage each of your clients differently.
That's so true. On the financing side of things, is there a way, maybe somebody listening to this can invest? Like, we haven't talked about on the other side of the business. Is there any ways for people to get involved in being a part of this thing? Or
I appreciate that. It was really great, but fortunately, I've been able to build something. No credit lines, no partners.
That's amazing.
And we've been doing this for about 14 years. Hundreds of millions of dollars that we put on the street. And fortunately, we're in a situation where we don't have to take
that
money.
Is so awesome.
But what we do need is more quality paper, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we have an excess amount of capital. And if there is someone who wants to say, okay, I'd like to make money in this field, we have an amazing affiliate program. Meaning if there's someone they know who could use our capital and they talk to, I'm really looking for leaders in their industry.
Okay.
Who have kind of a strong downline, who people ask them for questions. We'd like to sign them up as an affiliate. We'd like to give their people amazing service and provide them capital. And if we do, they're going to get paid on the first time and every time for perpetuity.
I love you. That's just so incredible that have built this just amazing machine, man. I'm so proud of you. We've known each other for quite some time.
Almost a year now, yeah.
And to see when we first met some of your goals and some of the visions, and to watch it unfold. And you were just in Dallas talking on big stage with Bedros and some of the Fit Body Boot Camp team. I mean, you were in Miami not too long ago. You're just moving and shaking, and really, really, like, you've boosted your media and your pod. I mean, you also have the Steve Edisis show, and man, so just tell us some of the other things that you're doing out there now that we got a good clear picture of the funding side and the tools and resources that you bring for business owners. Just what are some of the other things that you're really excited about?
I mean, let's just peel back the onion. I'm a family, faith, fitness, and forever type guy, and for that I'm going to be pulling out my fulfillment. I do everything I do on one end so that I could spend time and develop and grow my family and make impact in the community.
Bro.
That's really the number one thing. I love bringing people in, educating them, whether it's from the business side or teaching them how to do the business. Those things I love to see growth. My biggest client was been with me for almost 9 years. We started with $5,000 advance. I think over the past year, I've put about just under $1.1 million in their business bank account. The growth on those guys, the multiple locations that they've opened. I mean, the family he started, his impact in his area has been absolutely amazing.
I love that, man. That is really, truly what it's all about. I mean, money never fulfills it's just an itch that you can scratch, right? I mean,
it's a resource.
It's a resource, but when you watch the fruits of your labor come to fruition and you see that the work that you're doing is making an impact in other people's lives, that's really when you just feel it in your heart that, like, this is my calling. This is why God put me on this earth, is to do this and to fulfill this mission and to help other people and serve other people. So, man, I'm just grateful to know you and to be in your inner circle. And I just can't wait for all the additional business things that we get to talk about. I call you frequently and, just ask for your advice, and having you as a friend and mentor and everything.
Hey, man, I want to touch on you for a minute, because when we met, man, you weren't doing it. You didn't have the show. You didn't have the podcast. You had an idea what you was fermenting in your head. And I know you couldn't take action because you were still working with your other company, Unwinding. But what you did while you couldn't take action was amazing. You surrounded yourself with all the right people. The John Gordons, the Bedroses, every event you went to, and you sucked up that knowledge.
Thank you, man.
And man, every time you open your mouth, we could hear it. I could hear a couple of things. One, I could hear who you are as a man. Your faith, your foundation, the fact that you're a father always comes up in our conversations. So, man, for that, I thank you too, man. You've been a good visionary for me as well.
Man, I love you, brother. That's so awesome.
Man.
Thank you so much.
You're the best.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right.
Business has the power to transform lives. When leaders grow, companies thrive, creating opportunities for employees, families, and communities. Through practical guidance, proven frameworks, and real-world experience, we help business owners build organizations that are scalable, valuable, and sustainable. Welcome to the David Koehn Show.